diplomatic representatives, to all the organizations here present today, and to the public in general, we want to welcome you on behalf of our embassy and His Excellency Ambassador Mr. Elvis Alam to this panel that we have together with so many groups we have organized for you. This is an activity that we have been thinking for several years now, and for some different reasons we couldn't realize until today. But we really feel very proud to achieve this, and I want to stress that in this process there were so many people involved and so many organizations that have participated and have made this possible. We wanted to share with you our butterflies, because the Mirabal sisters have become a symbol not only for Dominican people, but for women worldwide, women and for human rights as well. So we wanted, as the Dominican Republic, to share a little bit of them with you in these events, and we have planned different activities in different cities. We come from Istanbul, we come from Izmir, and Ankara is our last stop. And we wanted to have participation from different sides of the society. We didn't want to make this one-sided women organization event. So we have been participating with students from universities, from political side as well, diplomatic, and today we are being hosted by the Turkish Bar Association. So I think it is very important to stress that we have worked together from different sides, from different perspectives, and that's what we wanted to show you, to have you share with you today. I'm not going to talk much. I wish you enjoy this event, and we can have time to think about all these issues that will be talked about today. So thank you very much.
Değerli meslektaşlarım, çok kıymetli konuklar. Kadına yönelik şiddete karşı uluslararası mücadele ve dayanışma günü kapsamında çok önemli kuruluşların işbirliğiyle gerçekleştirdiğimiz Kadınların Adalete Erişimi panelimize hoş geldiniz efendim. Başta ortak konuğumuz Sayın Minou Mirabal olmak üzere hepinizi saygıyla selamlıyorum. 58 sene önce bugün Mirabal kardeşler olarak bilinen Patria, Minerva ve María Teresa kardeşler diktatörlük karşısında var olma hakları için mücadele ederken bizzat diktatörün askerlerince işkenceyle öldürüldüler. Cinayetleri dönemin medyası tarafından araba kazası olarak duyuruldu. O zaman da diktatörlük dönemlerinin arka toplayıcıları basın etiğini kaybetmiş medyaydı. Patria, Minerva ve María Teresa unutuldu sandılar. Oysa onların 58 sene önce öldürüldükleri bugün tüm dünyada 25 Kasım kadınlara yönelik şiddete karşı uluslararası mücadele ve dayanışma günü olarak hatırlanıyor. Mücadele ve dayanışma birbirlerinden ayrılmaz bir bütünlükle şiddete karşı nasıl kazanacağımızı sessizce bağırıyor ve yol gösteriyor. Patria, Minerva ve María Teresa'nın adları bugün dünyanın her yerinde, hiç bilmedikleri ülkelerde ve bambaşka bir zaman çizgisinde binlerce kadın tarafından haykırılıyor. Birlikte mücadeleleri ve birlikte katledilmeleri, örgütlü ve destekli şiddete karşı ancak bu kız kardeşler gibi dayanışma ve mücadele ile zaferin var olabileceğini söylüyor bizlere. Bu arada bütün dünya bugün Mirabal kardeşlerin ismini hiç durmadan haykırırken, dönemin katil diktatörü Trujillo'nun ismini ise anan yok. Kadına karşı şiddetin her geçen gün arttığı bu topraklarda ise sadece 25 Kasım değil, 365 günün 365'i de şiddet ve mücadele günümüzdür. Mesela 17 Aralık Ayşe Paşalı, 3 Mart Münevver, 11 Şubat Özgecan, 15 Ekim Helin, 31 Mart Pipa Bakka, 11 Nisan Fethiye Gökçen ve her gün babası ve abileri tarafından öldürülüp evinin girişine gömüldükten çok sonra bulunduğu için ölüm tarihi belirlenemeyen ve bir fotoğrafı bile olmayan Medine Memi. Değerli konuklar, ben bu yazıyı 4 sene önce yazmıştım. 4 senede değişen nedir diye soracak olursak, bu yazıdaki 58 sene ibaresinin yerine 62 sene gelmesi, yine bu 4 senede kadın mücadelesinin ve dayanışmasının arttığı gerçeğidir. Ancak bu mücadelenin yönetim gücünü elinde bulunduranlar tarafından desteklendiğini söylemek çok güç. Hatta bırakın desteklemeyi, İstanbul Sözleşmesi'nden çıkılması ile birlikte kadın mücadelesine karşı bir engelin bizzat siyasal iktidar tarafından konulduğunu ve bu mücadelenin zayıflatılmaya çalışıldığını görüyoruz. Ve maalesef bu 4 yılda konuşmamın sonunda saydığım kadın cinayetlerine yüzlercesinin eklendiğini görüyoruz. Son olarak daha dün Manisa'da Hülya Alkan. Şunu çok iyi biliyoruz ki esasen kadın hakları hareketlerini tarihin akışını değiştiren hiçbir toplumsal hareketten, hiçbir insan hakları, özgürlük ve demokrasi mücadelesinden ayrı düşünmemiz mümkün değildir. Ne kölelikle mücadele, ne emek mücadelesi, ne vatandaşlık mücadelesi kadınlar olmadan başarıya ulaşamazdı. Daha verilecek çok mücadelemiz var. Türkiye Barolar Birliği olarak kadına yönelik şiddeti sonlandırmak ve kadınların adalete erişiminin önündeki engelleri kaldırmak için hem ulusal çapta barolarımız, meslektaşlarımız ve demokratik kitle örgütleriyle hem de uluslararası işbirlikleriyle sürdürdüğümüz mücadeleyi büyütmeye devam edeceğiz. Erkek şiddeti nedeniyle hayatlarını kaybeden bütün kadınları saygıyla anıyor, hepinizi saygıyla selamlarken son söz olarak İstanbul Sözleşmesi'nden vazgeçmeyeceğiz. Yaşasın kadın mücadelesi. Teşekkür ediyorum efendim.
That is allowing us to share this story and to build the necessary bridges between these two countries that are so far away. And this is an opportunity that I really appreciate, and I love the possibility that this is opening. To speak about my family, to speak about my country, to speak about justice around the world. And I especially would like to thank the Turkish Bar Association for receiving us here today in this very special occasion, and the ambassadors that are accompanying us, every one of you. Thank you very much from my heart. I may confess that I had another idea of this activity, and I was really a little bit worried about, because as I told I'm having problems with the pronunciation of all the names of the those beautiful names with stories behind. But I was worried about the essence of this meeting, because I am coming to meet lawyers around here. And that's very important, not only because I am a daughter of 2 lawyers in the Dominican Republic, but because when we talk about human rights, when we talk about women's rights, and women's rights are human rights in the first place, we are talking about justice, and we are talking about democracy, and we are talking about the rule of law. And we are also talking, as you asked me, about access to justice. So I thought that I should share with you what I do in my life right now, to what I dedicate my life. But I know that you are interested in knowing about my history, as I am the only voice that can tell it from that very special point of view. But before that, I would like just to share with you this, because I wouldn't forgive myself if I don't speak about that. I've been here for 4 days now, 4 days and a half, and I have been interviewed like 20 times, more or less, in Istanbul, in Izmir, and now here this morning. This is very early, and there is a question that I have been receiving, repeatedly, and it's the question of how come you are so optimistic? I am surprised, because you are optimist. You're always smiling, and you're always struggling, so I have been receiving this message. It's not only a question. And I thought that I should share with you my experience, because I work. Now I am the board of the Trust Fund for Victims of the International Criminal Court. That means laws, that means justice. And the International Criminal Court is an international tribunal that is founded from the Rome Statute in 1998. And it's a very important convention that created that tribunal. Before that, international justice did not exist for perpetrators of the heinous crimes against humanity, like the one that took from life the lives of my mother, my aunt, my father, for instance. So after many years, it was possible to approve and then to ratify the Rome Statute and to create the International Criminal Court in 2002. And what is important, one of the things, the most important things in this convention is precisely that it includes for the first time women as victims. It recognizes women as the first victims of any armed conflict in the world. So that's so big, because we know, and I know now, being working there, how big is the percentage of women victims in those conflicts. They're always majority. And then it's also important talking about laws and justice because it is the first time that we see sentences only not to condemn the perpetrators of the crimes, but to make reparation to the victims, and that's integral part of the sentence. So you cannot only say this guy is responsible and will have to go to prison for 20, for 30 years, but there are victims there, victims of those crimes, and we have to reparate them. And this is why the Rome Statute created also as a fundamental part of the International Criminal Court the Trust Fund for Victims that I have the honor to chair. And what I've seen there, and then I go after this parenthesis about the International Criminal Court, what I want to go is that you can see a characteristic, a common characteristic in all the victims, and is that optimism, a stubborn optimism. My friend Felipe Michelini, who died during the COVID pandemic, and he was the former president of the Trust Fund, said it was a stubborn optimism. And this is, you can see the victims of the Second World War, the stubborn optimism that led the fight from the victims of the Holocaust. You can see that in the countries where we are working right now, in situation countries, in jurisdiction of the International Criminal Court. I was in Uganda in September, last September, and we were there supervising our work in the field in northern Uganda, where these crimes, genocide, crimes against humanity, crimes of aggression, happened 20 years ago. And the victims are there. And when we went there and spoke with them, we could see, we could touch that stubborn optimism. That, you know, they were singing, they were telling their stories to us in a dramatic presentation, and they were singing with us, telling us very, very strong anecdotes, like this woman that was burned and lost her ears and her mouth and her everything. And she had lived for almost 20 years with a bullet in her belly. And she told us, you know, because she had been beneficiary of our work, and so she had been, after 18 years, being operated, and the bullet was taken from her. And she said to her, you know, don't ever think that when the sound of the bullets of the armed fight stops, the wounds are going to stop. They stay forever. They stay with us. But after that, she was singing. And she was telling us how she was able to rebuild her life. And that was the same situation with everybody. So this is what it inspires us. This stubborn optimism that is behind the victims of any heinous crime against humanity. So I am optimistic. I may confess that. I am proud of being optimistic, because I wouldn't dare to suppose that when my mother and my aunts decided, they decided to go on with their struggle, with their fight, they knew they could be assassinated. And they decided to go on. And they loved us. They really loved us. I have many testimonies. I know I have felt that love during all my life. And they decided to do that because they wanted us to live in a world of justice. They wanted us to live in a world of freedom, of peace. They wanted us to live in a democracy system. And they want us to have the right to have rights. So, if I am not optimistic, I am not being loyal to their legacy. And this is my answer to your question.
Çok teşekkürler. Çok güzel bir yanıttı. Öylesine... Çok teşekkürler. Öylesine kapsamlı bir yanıt oldu ki sevgili Minou.
World of justice. They wanted us to live in a world of freedom, of peace. They wanted us to live in a democracy system. And they want us to have the right to have rights. So, if I am not optimistic, I am not being loyal to their legacy. And this is my answer to your question.
Çok teşekkürler. Çok güzel bir yanıttı. Öylesine... Çok teşekkürler. Öylesine kapsamlı bir yanıt oldu ki sevgili Minou. Sen buradan baktığında umutlu musun diye soracaktım ama sen hepsini yanıtladın. Sanırım İstanbul Sözleşmesi'nden çekilme sürecimizi de biliyorsun. Buna bir şey eklemek ister misin yanıtına? Bu durumda direnen kadınlar ve hareket ve bu mücadeleyle ilgili ne eklemek istersin?
Well, I think that women's struggles are made of hope and are made of solidarity. Those two words go through all the history of feminism, go through the history of our struggles around the world. And women's struggles are happening everywhere because we have surely have advances, but those advances in our agendas have not got into the end. We have just started. Violence against women is happening everywhere. And 2 or 3 months ago, we could have thought that nothing was happening in Iraq. and everything was happening over there. Everything. And we can see it now. And then we're suffering a lot because we know they are suffering. We know they need our solidarity. But when we see those struggles, when we see them confronting that terrible power, then we have hope that the world someday, sooner or later, is going to be a world where discrimination does not exist, or at least is an exception, not the rule in a country. I think we can have the hope of thinking that violence against women is going to be also an exception, not the rule. We have the hope because we think about Iran and Afghanistan, and that's maybe the worst countries for a woman living there. But here you have these numbers, terrible. Every day a woman is being assassinated just for being woman and in the name of love. Or in my country, more or less every 36 hours. And we have this, and this is something that we have to live in the past. And it's going to be the result of our struggles. But it's impossible that it is just the result of the struggles of women. We need everybody. We need every human being committed to leave this tragedy in the past. This is what I think. Otherwise, we will be fighting for the next 150 years. And it's not fair. We are now on the third decade of the 21st century. So we cannot be or feel solidarity with those countries that are suffering like if they were living in the Middle Age. And this what's happening everywhere in the world is our struggle and has to be ours. And this is how I feel it, and this is what I have witnessed from the first line, being part of the international movement of women in, let's say, in many years of my life. I don't know how many, but there are a lot. Maybe there are here a lot of young girls that were not born when I started. And I see also a lot of you that are also being activists for many years, and we're still here, and we know there is a long way to go. Still a long way to go. And I am really impressed because in every activity that I have attended in these 4 days, I have seen and I have listened to the pronunciation of everybody saying it is not possible that Turkey leaves the Istanbul Convention. It's not acceptable. So what can I say? I support that. I heard that today. I listened to you. I listened to the president of the Bar Association. You had strong pronunciations. And we have to support that wherever we are. And that's maybe you as women and men committed to the struggle for human rights and for democracy were not expecting that decision. So you had not that in your agendas. But now you have that. And this is the way forward in the next month, because, you know, if they decide that, they have to feel that this is not going to be impugned. It is going to have a very high political cost. And it's only going to be understood if you are able to raise your voices as high as it is possible. Thank you.
Bu kapsamlı ve güzel yanıtın için yine teşekkür ediyorum. Bir sorum daha var. Bu soru aslında adalete erişime bağlayacağım adalete erişim meselesine bağlayacağım bir soru. Uluslararası Ceza Mahkemesi'nin Taraf Devletler Meclisi'nin Uluslararası Ceza Mahkemesi görev alanına giren suçların işlenmesi sonucu mağdur olanlar için kurulan Mağdurlar için Güven Fonu Yönetim Kurulu'ndaki önemli görevini başarıyla sürdürüyorsun. Mağdur hakları hukuk düzenlerinde en çok ihmal edilen haklardan. Sana zorunlu müdafi hakkını yıllar önce tanımış olmasına rağmen bizim hukuk düzenimizde de dünyadaki birçok hukuk sisteminde olduğu gibi mağdura zorunlu ve ücretsiz müdafi yardımını hala tartışıyoruz. Tüm mağdurlar için adalete erişim, yapısal zorluk ve engelleri içeren dikenli bir yol. Ancak dezavantajlı gruplar için adalete erişim daha büyük ayrımcılık ve dışlanmaları içeriyor. Diktatöre karşı direndiği için tutsak edilen ve mücadelesinden vazgeçmediği için de katledilen ebeveynlerinin adalet arayışı hikayesi, mahkeme deneyimleri sana mutlaka anlatılmıştır. Özellikle rejim muhaliflerinin ve kadınların adalete erişimi konusunda söylemek istediklerin var mı?
Well, we come, and when I say we, I am talking about women. We come from invisibility. We did not exist as we existed, like mothers, like caretakers, like cook, like sisters and wives, and that's it. So we did not exist for thousands of years. Our contribution was ignored, not recognized. And we were not even subject of the right to be judged in some times of history. But we could be accused, as Olympia de Gouges said when she presented the chart of women's citizenship during the French Revolution. She said, I can be put in the I don't remember the word in English. She could be had her head cut in the in the guillotine. Thank you. But I cannot have the right to speak in the debates. I cannot be elected. I cannot vote. she said, but I'm good to be in the guillotine. How's that? And that's our history as women. So this is new, talking about access to justice, because justice did not exist for us. So, as I said, for the first time in international justice, women are being part of the victims, recognized. But everybody knows what happens in a war. When the soldiers come, the first victims are women. And it's so difficult. We approve laws recognizing the existence of violence against women back in 1997. I don't know the year that you approved the laws in Turkey, but there might be around there. So what we have is a lot of laws that are very good, but are not being applied in our systems. So they are ink over the paper. And this is also part of the challenge that we have. We have a law that establishes that we have to have specialized prosecutors, specialized departments in the police department, and all that. But then a woman get there to make to denounce a violation or a menace to be killed, and they tell that woman, oh, come on, go talk with your husband and try to resolve this between you, because this is a private situation. You have to solve it. You have children together, and that's it. And then a month later, 2 months later, she will be assassinated, and she will be growing the numbers of victims, and that's really another tragedy. So we, as women, have focused a lot in counting the victims. We have been counting the victims. We say every 20 hours there is a woman assassinated. What about, and I say this in this place, full of lawyers, what about if we start counting the perpetrators that are condemned, sentenced? How many of them are in prison? We have to start counting that, because this is going to make the difference in order to get access to justice. Because justice is that. It's not just saying, you know, we have so many victims of fatal violence, so many feminicides, we have so many violations, so many rapes, so many women beaten. No, we have to start checking out how our criminal system of justice is working. And that is a challenge. There are a lot of challenges, but this is an important one, I think.
Teşekkürler. Sevgili Ceren, bana ulaşıp Minerva Mirabal geliyor, adalete erişim, kadınların adalete erişimi hakkında konuşacağız hocam dediğinde Zaten sizinle tanışacağım için, yan yana konuşacağım için çok heyecanlıydım. Bir de tabii bu Türkiye'deki kadınların adalete erişiminin mevcut durumuyla ilgili kısa bir bilgi notu iletmemi istedi. Benim bu konuda yaptığım bir saha araştırmamın olduğunu biliyordu ve çok kısa araya girerek Türk bu araştırmanın sonuçlarını aktarmam istendi ama tam bir rol çalma olacağı için sizin buradaki varlığı...
And it's so difficult. We approve laws recognizing the existence of violence against women back in 1997. I don't know the year that you approved the laws in Turkey, but there might be around there. So what we have is a lot of laws that are very good, but are not being applied in our systems. So they are ink over the paper. And this is also part of the challenge that we have. We have a law that establishes that we have to have specialized prosecutors, specialized departments in the police department, and all that. But then a woman get there to make to denounce a violation or a menace to be killed, and they tell that woman, "Oh, come on, go talk with your husband and try to resolve this between you because this is a private situation. You have to solve it. You have children together." And that's it. And then a month later, 2 months later, she will be assassinated and she will be growing the numbers of victims. And that's really another tragedy. So we as women have focused a lot in counting the victims. We have been counting the victims. We say every 20 hours there is a woman assassinated. What about, and I say this in this place, full of lawyers, what about if we start counting the perpetrators that are condemned, sentenced? How many of them are in prison? We have to start counting that, because this is going to make the difference in order to get access to justice. Because justice is that. It's not just saying, you know, we have so many victims of fatal violence, so many feminicides, we have so many violations, so many rapes, so many women beaten. No, we have to start checking out how our criminal system of justice is working. And that is a challenge. There are a lot of challenges, but this is an important one, I think.
Teşekkürler. Sevgili Ceren bana ulaşıp Minerva Mirabal geliyor, adalete erişim, kadınların adalete erişimi hakkında konuşacağız hocam dediğinde zaten sizinle tanışacağım için, yan yana konuşacağım için çok heyecanlıydım. Bir de tabii bu Türkiye'deki kadınların adalete erişiminin mevcut durumuyla ilgili kısa bir bilgi notu iletmemi istedi. Benim bu konuda yaptığım bir saha araştırmanın olduğunu biliyordu ve çok kısa araya girerek Türk bu araştırmanın sonuçlarını aktarmam istendi ama tam bir rol çalma olacağı için sizin buradaki varlığınız